Today I'm going to show you how to edit food photography in Lightroom. Welcome back to another Lightroom editing tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about how to edit food photography in Lightroom. So this is the image I have today. It's an image of an avocado and egg toast. And so you can see this is placed on top of what looks like an upside down bowl. And all of these elements are placed on top of a wood slab. And these elements are slightly out of focus, which adds a lot of depth to this image and makes the main item stand out even more. And so I was able to bring out the details of this image and also correct the colors a little bit to make it look really contrasty and have that moody look to this image. Let's just look at a quick before and what it looked like, and see it's really flat and there isn't really much going on. There isn't much detail in the eggs or the wood grain back here, and so I wanted to bring that out and also adjust the color of the leaves a little bit and the eggs and just overall make the edit look really nice. And so this was the final edit I got, and so we'll be going through that today. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Lightroom editing tutorials, and let me know down in the comments below what other videos or presets you would like to see. So I went ahead and made a virtual copy just to get started with a clean edit. First thing I'm going to do is start by making the image a little cooler and also adding a little bit of magenta just to get started with the coloring process. I'm going to make the image a little bit brighter so you can see the details in the shadows over here. And I also wanted the image to be really contrasty, so I'm going to add a little bit of contrast here in this slider, but I'm going to be adding a lot more contrast through the tone curve later on. I'm going to bring down the highlights and bring up the shadows so you can see some more detail in those dark areas. Then by bringing up the shadows and bringing down the highlights, I kind of washed out the image just a little bit. So I'm going to bring down the whites and then bring down the blacks. And in this image I really want like a lot of texture and detail, so I'm going to bring up the texture and then bring up the clarity, which kind of adds some more of the details in there, and then also dehaze it to get rid of that somewhat faded look. And then I'm going to bring down the vibrance and then bring some of that color back with the saturation. There we go. So it's just a base edit I did just to kind of even out the image before we start adding the more contrast and also coloring the image. So now I'm going to move on to the tone curve. We're going to be doing a S curve like usual. So I'm going to start by doing 3 points in the shadows, midtones, and highlights. I'm going to bring down the shadows just a little bit, and then bring up the black point, and then I'm going to move the mid-tone just a little bit down, and then bring up the highlights, and then bring down the white point. So this makes an S curve. An S curve is a really common curve that a lot of people use, kind of adds that contrast to the image. And you can go through the red, green, and blue curves as well to add more coloring and different variations of contrast and color, but I'm just going to be sticking to the basic tone curve right now. So you can see this before and after has added a lot of contrast, but it kind of messed with the colors a little bit. So now I'm going to go and fix that through the HSL. So first I'm going to fix like the oranges and reds you see in the eggs over here, the toast, and in the background in the wood. So I'm going to bring up the reds, make them towards orange a little bit, and then bring down the orange towards red, and then adjust the yellows just a little bit towards orange. Now I'm going to be desaturating most of those colors too. I'm going to bring down the reds, bring down the oranges just a little bit, and then bring down the yellows. And with those, I also want to make them a little darker. So bring that one down, bring the oranges a little bit. Now I'm actually going to brighten the yellows so they stand out just a little bit more. Alright, so now I'm going to move on to like the greens and the leaves over here, back here, and just the overall blue light that you see on this purple. So now I'm gonna adjust the greens, make that towards like a blue aqua color, and then bring up the aqua actually, make it towards like a blue, and then bring up the blue. Alright, so that changed the colors. Now I'm going to adjust the saturation, and I'm going to desaturate the greens quite a lot, and then bring down the aquas, and then bring down the blues too. And now I'm going to make the green a little darker. Then I'm going to make the aquas a little bit brighter, and then darken the blues just a little bit too. Alright, now I'm going to adjust the purple and magenta. You can kind of see it over here, and down here. So now I'm going to adjust the purple, kind of make it towards a blue. There we go, and then adjust the magenta a little bit towards purple. Now I'm going to adjust the saturation, desaturate the purple just a little bit, and then desaturate the magenta quite a lot. And then I'm going to make the purple darker. Then I'm going to brighten up the magenta just a little bit. So you can see this made the colors a lot better. Look at a quick before and after. It kind of made the eggs stand out a bit more, and made the greens over here a bit more subtle, which is what I was going for. Now I'm going to move on to split toning to add the overall tint to the highlights and shadows. I'm going to press Alt or Option to see the hue at 100, and then adjust the highlights towards almost like an orange color, orange red, and then adjust the saturation. Then I'm going to adjust the shadows towards like a bluish purple almost. There we go. And then I'm going to adjust the saturation. Alright, so this kind of just added that overall tint to the image to make it look a little better. I'm going to sharpen the image since we want to have a lot of detail in the food right here, and in part of like the eggs and the toast, and in the leaves over here. So I'm going to add some sharpening, and then kind of mask that to the edges. I don't want like the wood grain and everything kind of popping out. I just want the main food. You can see the middle was mostly illuminated, so I made sharpening only apply to that part. And I'm also going to reduce the noise just a little bit too. There we go. Now I'm going to move on to the camera calibration just to fine tune the colors a little bit more. So I'm going to move up the reds, and then bring down the saturation a little bit. And since these color edits are kind of subtle, what I like to do first is to move the sliders all the way to -100 and then +100, just to see what I like more, and then just kind of bring it down so I can get a more subtle look, so I'm not changing the colors too drastically. There we go. And how camera calibration works, it changes like the colors that like your camera profile reads. So that's why I don't really like using it for the main coloring, but just to add some like subtle color edits, it works really well for that. So you can see this just kind of made the colors a little better, and just kind of the subtle color edits which made the image look a lot better. This is the before and after. It's a really nice edit. I really like how I was able to bring out the details in the eggs and the toast over here. And overall, this is a really nice edit for food photography in Lightroom. Thanks so much for watching today's tutorial on how to edit food photography in Lightroom. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe for more Lightroom editing tutorials, and let me know down in the comments below what other presets or videos you would like to see. Thanks for watching.